The Hawthorns monitored everything, every servant, every visitor, every letter. If I tried sending a message normally, they'd intercept it immediately. I needed another way, and then fate handed me an opportunity. 3 days later, a merchant caravan arrived. They visited the estate regularly to deliver luxury goods. Wine, jewelry, exotic spices. The Hawthorns loved spending the Duke's money. I quietly observed the workers unloading crates. Among them was an elderly merchant. Unlike the others, he smiled kindly whenever he saw servants. Even children, especially children, that made Then Aunt Margaret leaned closer. Richard stood beside her, along with my 2 cousins. All of them looked furious. My stomach dropped. Had they found the letter? No, that flipped the folded paper into one of the merchant's cargo bags. For a terrifying second, noble, not even as a child. I wrote as someone desperate. Father, asterisk, if this letter reaches you, please don't ignore it. I quietly observed the workers unloading crates. Among them was an elderly merchant. Unlike the others, he smiled kindly whenever he saw servants. Even children, especially children, that made him useful. That night, I stole a piece of paper, a tiny bottle of ink, and a broken quill. Then I wrote, not as Elena, not as a noble, not even as a child. I wrote as someone desperate. Father, asterisk, if this letter reaches you, please don't ignore it, asterisk. The Hawthorne family lies to you, asterisk. The letters you've received are fake, asterisk. I am not safe, asterisk. They beat me, asterisk. They take the money you send, asterisk. I haven't seen a doctor in years, asterisk. I'm scared, asterisk. Please, come get me, asterisk. By the time I finished, tears stained the page. Partly Alina's emotions, partly mine, because no child should ever have to write a letter like this. The next morning, while helping unload supplies, I slipped the folded paper into one of the merchant's cargo bags. For a terrifying second, I thought someone saw me. But nobody reacted. The bag disappeared into the caravan. And just like that, my fate left the estate. All I could do now was wait. And hope. But unfortunately, someone else had noticed something strange. Someone who absolutely could not discover the truth. And that night, Aunt Margaret entered my room carrying a cane, with murder in her eyes. The door slammed shut behind her. My blood ran cold. She wasn't alone. Uncle Richard stood beside her, along with my 2 cousins. All of them looked furious. My stomach dropped. Had they found the letter? No, that wasn't possible, right? Aunt Margaret grabbed my chin hard. So, you've been acting differently lately. Her voice was calm, too calm, the dangerous kind of calm. The kind that came before violence. I don't know what you mean. Smack. The cane struck my shoulder. Pain exploded through my body. I nearly screamed. Don't lie. Another strike. And don't think we're stupid. Another. You're becoming troublesome. Another. We should have disciplined you sooner. My vision blurred. The room spun. I wanted to fight back. I wanted to scream. But Alina's small body couldn't withstand much more. Years of abuse had already weakened her. Then Aunt Margaret leaned closer and whispered something that made my blood freeze. We've worked too hard to lose everything because of you. Everything. Not you. Not family. Not love. Everything. The money. The luxury. The lifestyle. That's all I had ever been to them. A source of income. Nothing more. As they left, locking the door behind them, I curled into a ball on the floor. Not you, not family, not love, everything, the money, the luxury, the lifestyle, that's all I had ever been to them. A source of income, nothing more. As they left, locking the door behind them, I curled into a ball on the floor. The war had finally entered its final stages. Enemy forces were retreating, victory was within reach, yet the Duke felt strangely restless. For days, an uneasy feeling had lingered in his chest. A feeling he couldn't explain. Your Grace. A messenger knelt before him. We intercepted a civilian merchant traveling through the eastern route. The Duke barely looked up. Then why are you bothering me? The messenger swallowed nervously. He carried a letter addressed to you. Adrian frowned. Most official reports arrived through military channels. Few people wrote to him directly. And fewer still managed to bypass the Duke's security network. The messenger handed over a folded piece of paper. It looked cheap, wrinkled, almost worthless. Yet the moment Adrian saw the handwriting, his eyes widened, because he recognized the name. Elena. For years, he had received letters from his daughter. Short letters, cheerful letters, letters telling him she was healthy and happy. He had treasured every one of them. Read them during lonely nights. Kept them hidden among his most valuable possessions. But this handwriting was different. Much shakier, much smaller, as if written by someone afraid. His heartbeat accelerated. Slowly, he unfolded the page. As if written by someone afraid. His heartbeat accelerated. Slowly, he unfolded the page. And began reading. Father, asterisk. The Hawthorne family lies to you, asterisk. The Duke froze. The letters you've received are fake, asterisk. They hurt me, asterisk. They take the money you send, asterisk. I am scared, asterisk. Please come get me, asterisk. Silence fell over the tent. Complete silence. Even the air seemed frozen. The generals nearby exchanged nervous glances. None dared speak, because the Duke's expression had changed. His face became completely emotionless. And somehow, that was far more terrifying than anger. Leave. His voice was quiet. The generals immediately stood. Nobody argued. Nobody questioned. Within seconds, the tent emptied, leaving Adrian alone. He read the letter again. And again. And again. Each time, the words cut deeper. His daughter was scared. His daughter was suffering. His daughter had begged for help. And he had never known. Then another realization struck him. The previous letters. The cheerful ones. The perfect ones. If this letter was genuine, then all the others had been lies. The wooden desk shattered beneath his hand. A terrifying burst of mana exploded through the tent. Outside, soldiers flinched. Several horses panicked. One knight nearly fell from his mount. Nobody had seen Duke Blackwood this angry in years. Adrian closed his eyes, and for the first time since his wife's death, he felt fear, not fear. His wife's death. He felt fear, not fear for himself. Fear that he might already be too late. Most people thought Duke Blackwood became powerful through strength alone. They were wrong. His greatest weapon was information. Within hours, his intelligence network was activated. Spies moved across the empire. Secret reports flooded in. Investigators traveled toward the Hawthorne estate. Every hidden detail was uncovered. Every lie exposed. The results arrived before sunrise. And each report was worse than the last. Elena rarely ate proper meals. She wore second-hand clothing. She slept in a storage room. The Hawthornes pocketed nearly 90% of the money sent for her care. Servants had witnessed physical abuse. Doctors had been denied access. Punishments were common. Humiliation was daily. By the time Adrian finished reading the reports, the papers in his hands were soaked with blood. His own blood, because his nails had dug so deeply into his palms that they broke skin. One report included a drawing. A sketch created by an undercover spy. It showed Elena carrying buckets of water through the snow, barefoot, while the Hawthorne children laughed. Adrian stared at the picture, unable to breathe. His daughter, his little girl, the child he had entrusted to them, the child he promised to protect, had suffered for years, and he had unknowingly allowed it. That guilt hurt more than any blade. Then came the final report. A physician's estimate, based on witness testimony. If conditions continue unchanged, the child may not survive another winter. For several seconds, Adrian simply stared at the page. Then he stood. Prepare the army. The knight beside him blinked. Your Grace? Prepare the army. The knight beside him blinked. Your Grace? Prepare the army. The knight turned pale, because everyone knew what that tone meant. Someone was about to disappear. Meanwhile, back at the Hawthorne estate, I had no idea what was happening. Days passed. In a week, no reply, no rescue, nothing. Every day, my hope weakened. Maybe the letter had been lost. Maybe the Duke never received it. Maybe fate couldn't be changed after all. That morning, Aunt Margaret seemed unusually cheerful, which immediately made me suspicious. During breakfast, she announced exciting news. We've received confirmation. Our family will host the Crown Prince next month. Everyone celebrated. Everyone except me, because I remembered the novel. The Crown Prince's visit marked a major event. An event occurring shortly before Alina's original death. My heart sank. The timeline hadn't changed. If the timeline remained intact, then maybe my future hadn't changed either. That night, I sat alone in the garden, watching the moon, trying not to cry. Maybe I had failed. I sat alone in the garden, watching the moon, trying not to cry. Maybe I had failed. Maybe Alina's story would end exactly as before. Then suddenly, a distant sound echoed across the horizon. Boom. The ground trembled. I stood up, confused. Another boom followed, then another, then another. The servants rushed outside. Guards climbed the walls. Panic spread through the estate. What is happening? Nobody answered. Then one terrified guard screamed. Horsemen. The estate erupted into chaos. Thousands of black-armored riders emerged from the darkness, like a wave swallowing the horizon. Their banners snapped violently in the wind, and every single banner carried the same symbol. A black wolf. The symbol of House Blackwood. My heart stopped, because there was only one reason the Duke would bring an army. He knew, and the moment the Hawthorne family saw those banners, their faces turned completely white. The moment the Blackwood banners appeared on the horizon, panic consumed the Hawthorne estate. Servants ran in every direction. Guards shouted orders. Even the usually arrogant Lucas and Sophia looked terrified, because everyone knew one thing. Duke Adrian Blackwood never traveled with an army unless something very serious had happened. Aunt Margaret forced a smile. It's fine. Everything is fine. But her trembling hands betrayed her fear. Uncle Richard swallowed nervously. Why would His Grace come here personally? Nobody answered, because deep down, everyone already knew. Within an hour, the estate was completely surrounded. Thousands of black-armored knights stood silently outside. No shouting, no threats, no attacks, just silence. The kind of silence that came before a storm. Then the massive gates opened, and he entered, Duke Adrian Blackwood, the villain of the novel, the man feared throughout the empire, the undefeated war hero, the monster who made enemy kingdoms surrender without battle. Yet the moment I saw him, I didn't see a monster. I saw a tired man. A man carrying years of regret. A man desperately searching for someone. His cold silver eyes swept across the courtyard, ignoring everyone else, looking for only one person. Me. When our eyes met, time seemed to stop. For a brief moment, his emotionless expression cracked. Shock, pain, disbelief, because I looked far worse than he imagined. I was thin, too thin. My dress barely fit. Bruises peeked from beneath my sleeves. Old scars marked my hands. And despite standing there, I looked like I might collapse at any moment. The reports hadn't prepared him for reality. For several seconds, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then Adrian took a single step forward. Elena. His voice was barely above a whisper. A strange warmth spread through my chest. Not my